Hello. Would you believe this is my third time recording this? Technical difficulties. So, let's talk about the basics of algebra. While watching this video, I recommend you following along with the Algebra Basics Guided Practice. The questions I cover here will be the same ones seen there. So, this will help you work through that one. Anyway, but don't just read and copy. Really try to think about what I'm saying here. And you will use it this year and for the rest of your educational career. So, take it to heart. All right. So look at number 1. We see written, if x equals 3, then x plus 5 equals. Now here we're going to be introducing an idea called substitution. With substitution, anytime you see an equal sign with two things on either side, they can always replace each other, right? Substitution is used all the time in algebra. It's a very powerful tool. Okay? Substitution. Same way that a substitute teacher stands in for a standard teacher, a 3 can stand in for an x at any point. Because we have decided in this problem, not always be the case, but in this problem, x equals 3. So if x equals 3, then here I can substitute 3 in for x. And then the rest of the problem, plus 5 equals 8. And so if x equals 3, then x plus 5 must equal 8. Alright? So, moving on, looking at another example. The second question. Yeah, 8 should be the answer to your first question. The next example. We see if x equals -1, then 2x, then 2x plus 4 equals. Now here we're going to be introduced to kind of a new idea in our notation. Previously, when you multiplied, you did 3 times 4, right? And that was 12. But, unfortunately, the multiplication sign looks a bit too much like an x. So if we tried to say 3 times x, it would look like this. And that can get a little confusing. So, if we want to do 3 times x, instead, we can just write 3x. If you type it, you won't put a space in. You'll just type a 3 and an x right next to each other. So 2x plus 4 is 2 times x plus 4. Now we substitute. We have 2 times -1. So we are multiplying. Put a little multiplication down just to make it clear. Plus 4 equals. And here we're going to use our order of operations. We know multiplication will come before addition. So 2 times -1 is -2 plus 4. And -2 plus 4 is 2. which is the answer to our second question, 2. Looking at the third question, we're going to see a slightly different use of a variable. Sometimes we'll be given an equation with both sides already filled out. So we can ask, if x equals 2, then 5x minus 1 equals 8. So this question asks if this equation is true or false. So we're going to substitute 2 in and see if this is true or false. Some value of x here will make this true. We don't know if it's 2 yet. We'll only know by plugging in. 5 times 2, where 2 is my x, minus 1. We do multiplication first. We get 10 minus 1 equals 9. And 9 does not equal 8. Therefore, this here is false. Okay? And we call this verify. Verify. So, to verify means to check if something is correct or not. And in this case, we see the equation is not correct if x were to equal 2. Now, if x equaled 1 4/5, then yeah, it would be right. You can work that one out yourself. But I don't want to get stuck on that because that wasn't the question. Here we're just seeing if it's right or wrong. If you go to the next page, you will see maybe something, we're going to see a real world scenario where we see algebra applied. In this situation, we see John is saving up for a new fancy video game console. And in so doing, we know the video game console. Well, let's look at the question. He's saving $500. He needs $500 to buy the console. But he already has $200. It's not enough, but he's putting money away. Every week he can save $50. He can put $50 towards his savings to save up for the big purchase. So the first question asks, what is his starting amount? And starting amount isn't some fancy official math term, but it's what I think you can follow. A starting amount is the amount that he starts with, which in this case is, that's right, the $200 he already has in the bank. So the starting amount is $200. But that's not enough. He needs more. He doesn't have enough. So we are going to need to find my black marker for one. There it is. But third time's the charm. So he needs more, so we're going to add. We need to add on a term we're going to use is called we're going to call it a rate. Now, a rate means the amount by which something is either growing or shrinking, right? It is some sort of repeated addition. It's a repeated value, right? So in this case, he is gaining, because we're adding, he's gaining $50 a week repeatedly. He's not just getting $50. It's not just he got to 250 and called it a day. No, he's getting this every week. So he's going to start off with the 200, and then he's going to get 250 after the first week, because that's 200 plus 50. Then he's going to get 50 more, and he's going to get 300 on his second week, and that will be the 200 plus this 100. And then on the third week he'll have 350, which is my 200 plus the 150. Now if I ask you, how much has he gained? You can find this pretty easily. If I said, how much has he gained after the 10th week? You can just keep doing this, but what we're doing is just repeated addition. Plus 50, plus 50, plus 50. Here, this is 50 times 1, 50 times 2, 50 times 3, 50 times 4, and so on. We're going to be doing 50 times week 1, week 2, week 3, the number of weeks. But I don't want to write the word weeks every time I want to refer to this value, right? So instead, I'm just going to use the letter W, because it's shorter and it's easier. And it's a term that we call the variable. Now, a variable, you've already seen a variable. X was a variable in those previous problems. A variable is just a letter that stands in for some number, right? The word vary, you may have seen in a commercial. Your results may vary. A vary means to change or be different in some way. And because the letter doesn't stand for any single value yet, it's some value that we can allow to change or be different, depending on what we need it to be. We haven't assigned a value to it yet, but we're finding out which one it needs to be. So, our starting amount was 200, our rate was 50, and it's going to be multiplied by my variable. And it will equal a value that we are going to call our target. And the target is what he's saving towards, which in this case is the $500 for the game console. Okay? So that's our target. Look to there. Our variable will need to represent a certain real-world value. In this case, it's not the price of the gaming console, it's not his starting bank balance, and it's not even this number. It's next to the variable, but it's not the 50. 50 is the rate. The rate is not the same as the variable. The rate is its own thing. But the variable is W, which stands for the number of weeks that he's saving up money. So for that one, our choice is B. And lastly asks, not lastly, there's a few more things we need to do. Write an equation to describe John's situation. And if you'll look, we've already done exactly that. Our equation is 200 plus 50W equals 500. That is our equation. We ask now, say if we want to know what W is going to be, to get there, well, really, you have the 200 and you say that I need a total of 500, but I can kind of put the 200 away. That's already set. How much more do I need? What is the difference between what I have and what I want? We can find that by subtracting 200 here and here. No, What we did to one side of the equation, we also did to the other. Think of this as like a balance, right? For things to balance, here, say if my hands have the same amount, what we drop from one side, we must also drop from the other to keep it balanced, to keep my equal sign valid, okay? Next. So, okay, we did the 200 and we found that 300 are still needed. And so we want to know how much more money he has to save to afford it. He needs to save up $300 more. So to find how many weeks, if 50 times W equals 300, right? Say 50 times W equals 300, then by the same logic I showed you earlier, then 300 divided by 50 equals W. Right? Let me show you here. I'll try to get at this, right? 8 times 6 equals 48. 48 divided by 8 equals 6. Okay? So we can change our order around for multiplication and division facts. So using this reasoning, we can find W. So really what we're doing, another way you can think of it like this. Now this is like a fraction that we can simplify, right? We can cross the number off the top and bottom. And with 300 divided by 50, we get W equals 6, which is our final answer. 6 weeks. The form won't accept anything that's not a number, so just put 6 into it. But right. So that's what we have. Thank you for watching. Take it easy. Don't stress yourself out. Take a little break and enjoy your weekend.